Hello everybody, what is up? Cobra here with a new series on taking an in-depth approach on the strategy and gameplay features of the Powder Keg 1914. So, these videos are definitely going to be trying to keep it around 5 to 10 minutes, really quick and concise, covering singular concepts in the game that vary from other games like Global War 1936 and Axis and Allies 1940. So, in the Powder Keg 1914, you have different turns of each of the major powers, and major powers are seen across the board. Here we can see that Germany and France are set up, and it is the beginning of 1914. So turns are usually pretty fluid. You can do the different features of the turn, such as doing your combat and non-combat operations in different stages or all together. But there are a few things that kind of build a structure of what a turn looks like. And the first thing that happens at the beginning of your turn is the declaration of war against anybody on the map. And that would include other major powers and neutral powers. So in the Powder Keg 1914, neutral powers are not controlled by anybody at the start of the game, unlike countries like Britain, Germany, and France. They are neutral. They don't have units set up on the board, as you can see here with Belgium, Luxembourg, and Holland, but they do have armies, and they are a threat and a potential area to invade in the game. So, as you can see here, the Germans are poised to invade France and the Low Countries, and they have a special ability called the Schlieffen Plan, which allows them to get a second combat operation plus a defender negative to the defense of those countries if they move on round one on the countries of Holland, Belgium, Luxembourg, and or Switzerland. So they can choose to invade all of them, just one, or avoid the whole plan entirely. So in this case, they want to use the plan. They're going to activate the Schlieffen Plan and declare war on Belgium and Luxembourg. So in this stage, the first stage of declaring war on a neutral, we move to these two tables. So first off, we have the diplomacy table, and this is where you can align different countries via die rolling and other ways, trading with them, establishing diplomatic pacts with them, and ceding territory to them. So as we can see here, we have certain nations that are already listed, plus an area where all remaining minor powers and neutrals are placed. Just considering that there are so many, as you can see over there, and listing the exact spots of where they would be set up would take much too much space off of this table. So the different nations, as you can see here, are in different stages, but in our case, in just declaring war on a neutral, Belgium is at +3, shifted towards the Allies, and since they have been declared war on, they're moving up to fully aligned and controlled by the Entente, up there with a few other countries that start, like Serbia, Montenegro, Tonga, the Zayan Confederation, and the Emirate of Najd. So in this case now, we move over to the neutral nation mobilization chart. So neutral nations are controlled by other countries, by major or minor powers, rather than they're acting as their own playable nation with their spending their own war material, conducting their own diplomacy, and whatnot. So in this case, once aligned to a major or minor power, a neutral pretty much becomes that. All their territories shift to the control of the now controlling power. All of their units, you can see here, are set up as the controlling major power. So we find Belgium on this table here, and you can see that the Belgian army in Europe consists of 2 infantry, and we're going to say Belgium is aligning to the British, a power on the side of the Entente, same as the French. So they receive 2 infantry to be placed in Europe, an artillery, and an armored car. You can see here that the colonies get 2 infantry, and C-Zone 129, a destroyer. So in this case, as we saw in other videos such as the major power setups, powers do have a lot of flexibility when it comes to setting up units, and that goes for neutrals and neutral minor powers, getting to set up their units when they are at war and wherever they want, somewhat. So we can see here that Belgium in Europe consists of these 3 territories, And in this case, the British will set up their forces here in Valderland, just because they see that the Germans have placed a lot of siege artillery on the border, and they don't want to sacrifice the Belgian army in Limburg, where they could be surrounded. So then, getting down to the colonies, usually there is a little bit more information, but in this case, Belgium has one kind of colonial territory, being the Belgian Congo, and 3 territories that make it up. So, the British player, now having control of the Belgian army and setup, will be placing an infantry here to protect their border because of the German Cameroonian Defense Force, and here in Kuvu, in case the Germans decide to use their Lake Tanganyika flotilla to launch an invasion of that port. And they do have that destroyer, as mentioned before, that has to be placed in Sea Zone 129, so that goes in right there. And that is how you set up a neutral power. Now, those are done individually, so in this case, Germany, as I said, was declaring war on Luxembourg as well. So this would happen, as we can see, and then the declaration of war against Luxembourg would be made. So in this case, I don't have a Luxembourg roundel, but that would be moved up to fully aligned to the Entente. In this case, again, we'll say Britain. Another thing to note too is that now that the British are in control of Belgium, we can place British roundels on these Belgian territories to denote that. What I do a lot too is I'll leave these off and just put the controlling powers roundel in the capital of the neutral just to mark it, so I don't have to put roundels all across the board. So now that Belgium has been all set up and aligned, the declaration of Luxembourg is made, and so Luxembourg forms a special nation pool called the micronations, and the micronations are made up by Andorra, Luxembourg, San Marino, and Liechtenstein, the 4 micronations in Monaco, so the 5 micronations of Europe. Those nations are not on the diplomacy table, so they cannot be diplomatically aligned for, and they also don't have any standing army. So in this case, we don't set up the Luxembourg army because they don't have one. They are aligned though to Britain, and in this case, the Germans can move in unopposed to Luxembourg. So if the Germans were pushed out for whatever reason by the French, Luxembourg is British controlled, and Britain would be able to build an infantry class unit out of Luxembourg City. So that is how declarations of war against neutral powers or neutral countries are made, and in future videos we'll be getting into how special alignment considerations go for minor neutral powers like Italy, the Ottoman Empire, and also special neutral powers like Iran, and the creation of neutral powers like the Transcaucasian Federation. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Cobra, out.